Okay, welcome everybody. Let's officially start. I got the sign that we are live. So again, thanks for coming. So I hope it will be useful in terms of you're the student now that got an offer to be our next student in NUS. And for this session, so for this whole series of sessions that we had over the last days, we assume you still haven't decided yet, right? Most likely you have several offers, right? And now you want to decide, okay, where to go, which is a fair point. And one of the reasons is to have these sessions from our side is to clear up any kind of uncertainty, in some sense to advertise NUS for you, but of course the decision is up to you, right? So again, welcome. And basically before we start, I would like to invite our Dean, Kian Lee, as a very first kind of warm-up welcome before we start with the real panel.
All right, thanks. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to NUS School of Computing. Those online as well, welcome you to join us. As Chris mentioned earlier, we are hoping to answer any of the questions that you may have. Can I have a show of hands? How many of you have already accepted our offers? Don't be shy, yeah? Great, more than half. So for the rest, if you have not decided, we hope today we will be able to help you to make an informed decision. The universities in Singapore are generally very strong, and we think we have something to offer you. And I hope that if you have any questions in mind, please feel free to ask us, and we'll be happy to answer them. All right, those online as well, I think they can answer as well, right? So, yep, all right. So those online, if you have any questions, please feel free to type in your questions, and we'll try to answer every one of them as much as possible. All right, thank you.
Thanks. So basically, how this will roughly kind of work, I will be basically the moderator, and we have our panelists. So I will first introduce or let them introduce themselves. Then the panel will be kind of split in first kind of starting with some discussion with kind of questions that we know that students are often interested in, right? And panels will obviously answer. And then the second half, as I mentioned, you have the chance asking your own questions, right? So that being said, I think we should get started. And as I mentioned, the first thing would simply be, I would ask everybody in our panelists to give a brief introduction, who you are and what you do at NUS.
Should I stand up? No. Good afternoon, everyone. Very nice to see all of you guys. I'm Dr. Cho Hong Wang. I'm from the Department of Information Systems and Analytics. And I'm the Assistant Dean in charge of the student exchange programs from the UG office.
Hi, I'm Seth Gilbert. I'm the current head of department for computer science. I've taught CS2040S, the first year algorithms and data structures class, for years and years now. Some of the lectures circulate online. So I have a good sense of the excitement and the challenge of being a first-year CS student and some of the fun of the first-year courses. From a research perspective, my work focuses on distributed systems and distributed algorithms. How do we deal with very, very large-scale systems? Perhaps what I'm best known for in that regard is the CAP theorem from a few years ago. That's me.
Hi, everyone. I'm Associate Professor Goh Kim Yong. I'm the department head of the Department of Information Systems and Analytics, and some of you may know our department is in charge of hosting 2 degree programs, essentially the Business AI Systems degree and also the Business Analytics degree. So be happy to answer any questions with regard to any of these 2 degree programs. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome. My name is Ng Teck Kim. I'm the Vice Dean for Industry Relations. We are in charge of, we take care of the internship and career matters of students. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Gary Tan. As you can see there, I'm the Vice Dean of Student Life. So my job here is to make your life fun when you're here, because they make you work hard and study hard, but I make you have fun. So when you come here, you're guaranteed and you're assured that your life is not just work. there's also a play as well. So I have taught at different levels. I've taught 1010, CS 1010, I've taught 2040, 2040C, and currently I'm teaching a level 5 course. So if you get to stay here to your postgrads, then you might probably catch me as well. But you'll definitely catch me when you first come in, because when you do come in for the orientation, I'll be the first person you will see. All right, so I welcome you to the School of Computing, and for those who are still making a decision, I look forward to welcoming you as well. Right, thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Maybe I should wrap up officially. So yeah, my name is Chris. I'm senior lecturer at SOC for the last 10 years. I teach database systems, data mining, natural language processing, text mining, all these kind of things. And today I'm here in my position as Assistant Dean of Communications, right? So maybe you talk to me if you did win something, then we promote your work. Otherwise, these guys are the right people to answer. So that being said, yeah, let's get started. So we prepared a set of questions that are hopefully interesting for everybody, right? So, and what I would like to start with, kind of probably more for the deans and for the heads, or the high-level questions. So what's your vision for NUS Computing, right? So computing arguably is very fast-paced, right? How do you see, or where do you see SOC in the next year, but also maybe in the next 5 years, because this is maybe the time frame students who study now, begin to study in August, might be most interested in, but also maybe 10 years down the road. So anybody can answer. So I guess it's a question for the heads and the dean more.
Good. So that's a hard question to start with.
Yes.
So computer science these days has all sorts of exciting stuff happening these days. It's impossible to not see the impact of AI on everything that we're doing. Whether AI related or not, it impacts everything we're doing in computing. At the same time, we also strongly believe that the fundamentals of computer science and computing are going to be important in the long-term future. That, in fact, computing is going to be more than just AI. In fact, AI is going to infuse the rest of computing, and we're going to see, in some sense, both the importance of AI and the importance of classical and traditional computing. They're going to merge together in some sense. So from a what are we trying to do, what are we planning to do perspective, we want students here to have a sound, solid technical education in computer science, understanding the fundamentals, those fundamentals for classical things like software engineering and networking and operating systems and so on, as well as all the newfangled exciting stuff that's happening with AI and how the two fit together to build something bigger and more exciting. So from a technical perspective, that's where we're looking at. From a where does this lead us in the future perspective, one of the things that's important is not just the technical skills that you know, but how do you use them? What do you do with those technical skills? How do you work with other people to build things and accomplish useful things in the world? So equally important as understanding a bunch of technical skills, we need to look at problem solving. Now, this is the type of thing that AI doesn't completely solve today in some sense. There's a question not just of, can the AI do it? Maybe. But what is it we actually want the AI to do? What are we trying to build? How does this solve the problems? What are even the right problems to solve? The more time you spend in computer science, the more time you see the importance of figuring out what it is we want to do, what is the problem we want to solve, rather than the solution itself. So that's the other sort of big focus of where we're going. And then finally, when I took over as head about 6, 7, 8 months ago, and I was asked, "What's your vision for computer science?" I didn't know, so I went and talked to a bunch of our faculty about that. And a lot of the answers I got are the same I think you'll get at any good university. We want to be great educators. We want our students to graduate and get wonderful jobs. We want to do cutting-edge research. etc. But one common answer I got from a lot of our faculty is that we wanted to do work that makes the world better for real people. Even as we're doing technical things, even as we're doing research, even as we're teaching, we'd like this to actually have positive impact on real people. So from the perspective of what we're teaching and what we're trying to do, I think that's an important part. So that's my brief answer.
Right, I think Seth has already pretty much answered the question. But I just want to add one more aspect. Maybe it's more relevant to you. We hope, right, as part of our vision, we really want to train our students to be leaders of the future, right? Which is why, because I think from I think courses, curriculum point of view, or your learning experience or whatever, I think we expect you to do well, right? Most of you are top students. Our cutoff is high. You just turn to your friend, you probably are, I mean, you look at one another, you know how well we have done, right? So we are not so too concerned about whether you can cope with the study, right? What we really want to do is to provide maybe what we call value add to your education here, value add to your learning experience. So we do actually a lot of extracurricular activities to help our students to be more proactive, more being able to have the mindset of paying it forward. We have leadership program, and I hope you will take advantage of it. And if I may just elaborate a bit, these leadership programs are not just 1 day, 2 day workshop, but it is actually a 16-week program, right? Where you will get to hear from leaders in the field, in the tech companies. We invite them to come in and share their experience as leaders. And after that, I think that is probably first half of that program. It takes about 8 weeks. And then for the next 8 weeks, you have practicum, where you will get to experience how to be a leader. And hopefully, in that process, after that 16-week, you'll be at least have a better understanding of what it is like to be a tech leader. Right? So these are things that we hope to do, and hope that our student, our alumni, will be able to change the world, right, through the technologies, the knowledge that you acquired here.
Okay, anyone wants to add? Yes.
Yeah, so I think Seth and Kenny has said a lot, so I'll perhaps just keep it brief. Essentially, in terms of the Department of Information Systems and Analytics, at the education side, of course, I think we aim to deliver a world-class learning and educational experience, okay, to the folks who are in the business analytics and in the business AI systems degree. On that note, I think some of you, of course, may know that our placement record has always been among the top, okay, in Singapore. If you go look at the Ministry of Education graduate this survey at the end of, I think it's usually released sometime in March, I think right before the A-level students would apply to the university. You always see that, I think, among all the 3 institutions in Singapore, in terms of the salary numbers and employment rates, I think NUS is always the top. I think that says a lot in terms of delivering world-class education. All right, so in terms of not only in Singapore, you see that our graduates, many of our graduates, okay, you may not know, are also very well placed in Silicon Valley. All right, and some of the starting pays. I used to be the vice dean of the corporate relations, so I used to see some of the salaries. I can tell you, some of the graduates actually earn more than us as professors in their starting pay. All right, so that's on the education side. In terms of research, of course, research is very important to us as professors in the universities. Right, and if you look at the rankings, I think be it the QS ranking or the Times Higher Education ranking, again, NUS Computing, okay, both in the computer science area and in the information systems discipline, we are ranked definitely, if not within the top 5, definitely within the top 10 across the world. Right, even you as an undergraduate student in NUS, we also aim, okay, we also hope to get you involved in some of the research activities, right? So as an undergraduate student, you have the chance and opportunity to take on undergraduate research opportunities with many of our professors here, right? If you are really interested in research, we also encourage you to go on to even take on a doctoral education even in Singapore. So there are plenty of opportunities for you folks to engage in research side. And then lastly, of course, on student life, I think Prof. Gary has already said, hopefully, okay, within this 4 years, you not only excel in the classroom, get good grades, okay, we also want you to involve actively in many other activities outside the classroom, right? So you can go to student exchange programs, get yourself involved in management committees of the student clubs. We have so many student clubs in NUS School of Computing, right? So some of those, I think you can immediately see that there's a fintech lab opposite, okay, this MPH. Right, there's NUS Hackers, NUS Grey Hats. Many of these activities, okay, would, of course, engage you in a different manner outside the classroom. Okay, some of you can also aspire to be student leaders at the university level, join NUSU, right, the NUS Student Union, right? Those would definitely give you a different perspective outside the classroom. And lastly, I think I would definitely say that these 4 years will fly past very fast. So you need to know right from the first day what you want to get out of a university education, right? Right in NUS, and then of course plan in a systematic manner. So that's important because you just can't. It's impossible to do everything, right? If you tell me you want to do a student exchange program, you want to go on the NUS Overseas College, right? You want to be a committee member in NUSU or in our NUS Computing Club. Sometimes that's just impossible. You need to know what you want to get out of the 4 years and then prioritize accordingly. All right, so thank you very much and all the best to the next 4 years to come here in NUS School of Computing. Thank you.
Thanks. Does anybody add to this question?
Maybe I'll just say a few words about career internship, right? Now, our students have been doing well. And just this morning, I had a video conference with one American MNC calling me from USA. They contacted us because they are interested to get our students for their interns, S&D interns, right? They told me every batch they're getting like 35 students all over the world, I think including US also, and they intend to take 1 to 3 students from NUS because they have been hearing good things from their peers in US about NUS graduates. So when you come here, be very diligent in your study life. Learn skill sets, right? Be very good in. Don't focus so much about this number of marks, that sort of things. Although marks is a proxy to your skill, but more importantly, the very good companies, the top companies, when they recruit you, they ask you, they give you tests, technical tests, and things like that, right? So ultimately, it's the skill set that is more important, right? So be very mindful of that, right? So, and also, I'm in charge of internship. I also want to let you know that, coming to NUS is not just about study, not just about internship. You need to take part in CCA activities, right? There are a lot of the computing club. There are clubs within SOC. There are clubs at university level like NUSU. And these are the places for you to hone your leadership skills, right? So don't neglect these kind of activities. And those who like sports, go ahead. You need to be more well-rounded. And if you manage your time well, you can do well in all. All right. So yeah. So that's Gary. Do you have some?
They've already sold my student life to you already by mentioning all the computing club, the student interest groups. We have a whole range of student interest groups. But just to answer Christian's question, what's the vision, right? I think from my point of view, the student life, we want to create a holistic or well-rounded student out of you. So when you go out to the workforce, you're going to be a wholesome personnel ready to face and challenge the world. So in this respect, we actually try to work on different Qs. I think you've heard of IQ, right? IQ. And then you've heard of EQ, right? One's intelligent quotient, and EQ is emotional quotient. We try to impart knowledge on AQ, AQ. So are you familiar with this? A, do you know what A stands for? Not to be A student, okay, but it's adversity quotient. When you come here, we want to imbue resilience in you, because you are all top students. Maybe you haven't faced failure before, right? So, and it's not an uncommon thing to happen to you. You might encounter failures when you come to computing, or even in the later part of your life. So very important is how you build up your resilience to cope with stress and pressure. Right? So when you come here, this is what we will try to help you with as well. There are other things which maybe we'll leave for later part. I will share with you.
Okay, thanks. This brings me directly to our next follow-up question, because Tekim mentioned about skill set and Seth talked about foundations we want to teach you. So let me kind of phrase this more explicitly. What are the key features of our curriculum, or do you think our curriculum provide to make our students future ready? How would you answer this question? Again, this is open to everybody who wants to answer.
Okay, maybe I'll try to take a stab at that first. So essentially, I guess our school, we are very proactive, okay, in updating our degree curriculum. All right. In fact, I think most of you probably will not know. Okay, at the school level, we have 2 curriculum committees, one at the school level and the other one at the department level. All right. So this committee meets actually every month. And to the extent that we can actually change our curriculum every month if we wanted to, all right? But of course, we don't want to change things so regularly. And some of those curriculum changes would involve approvals from the Ministry of Education, all right, which we sometimes need to seek for major changes, right? But suffice to say, we are at the school level, and both as educators and as researchers, again, definitely we are very sensitive to what's happening in the industry out there, all right? So all the professors, the committee members in the curriculum committee, we definitely pay attention to all the things that's going on in the industry, right? And whatever industry in terms of, let's say, whatever the labor market is looking for, we definitely will try to train our students in, all right, be it in AI, machine learning, back then to the older days, in let's say computational biology, in survey science, management, and engineering, some of these terms you of course may not have heard of. We definitely have offered various types of related minors, degree programs, okay, in all these things that have, at some point in time, have been very high in demand in the industry. Right, so that's one aspect in terms of us as educators and researchers paying attention to whatever that's happening in the industry out there. Right, and at the same time, we also talk regularly to the government agencies. All right, so we have good contacts with people in IMDA. All right, sometimes we also host visitors from EDB. All right, EDB brings in a lot of companies to NUS. Right? Why is that so? Simply because EDB, if you know, of course, would host a lot of companies which may be interested to invest in Singapore. And one of the biggest reasons to invest in Singapore is to look for talents, right? Human resources, right? And of course, which is what we are aiming to educate and train you in. All right. So in short, we look to whatever that's happening in the industry. And we can adapt our degree programs in a very quick manner, just to make sure that we are training you folks in industry-relevant skills and expertise. All right, we do keep up to date in terms of the educational degree programs. And secondly, also, as I mentioned, we work fairly closely with IMDA and in other government agencies, right? And of course, also GovTech, right? In fact, some of the senior leaders in GovTech, IMDA, they sit in our school's advisory committee. All right, so these leaders will provide guidance to us in terms of telling us, let's say, for instance, what kind of skill sets the industry is looking for, and can we kind of provide suitable educational training for our students. All right, so that's all I can say. Thank you.
Yes, Seth, please. Do you want to add something?
What's that?
Do you want to add something to this? Yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to speak more specifically to the curriculum in computer science, which I think is at least part of this question here. And in computer science, at least, the way I think about the curriculum and what's important here is really how we want to balance the breadth versus depth. How much do you want to do a little bit of everything versus how much do you want to really specialize in just your favorite thing? And one of the key goals in the way we've designed our curriculum is to balance those two things and give you some flexibility to determine as you go along which of those directions you would like to go. So why do I think this is important? Well, so breadth I think is important for a couple reasons. First of all, Breadth means you're getting exposure to a wide variety of skills that you will find useful in the long run. These are skills that are fundamental to computer science that show up everywhere, even if you don't know it yet. Second is familiarity. Even no matter what you end up doing in the long run, even you didn't think you were doing something related to security, but security turns out it matters. Or you didn't think you were doing something related to networking, but there's a networking component that matters. Or you didn't really think this was a software engineering job, but hey, you're talking to a software engineer, you need to know how to talk their language. Okay? So having a sort of broad familiarity in computer science is useful since a whole bunch of different areas come together to solve problems in the real world. The third thing I'll say about breadth is that a huge goal of this breadth is learning how to think like a computer scientist. Right? Whether or not you ever see a red-black tree again, that doesn't matter. Learning about them is one way to learn how to think like a computer scientist, solve problems like a computer scientist, and apply computer science tools to the problems you'll be solving. Anyway, so these are reasons I think breadth is really important. At the same time, you also want to know a lot about something. You want to go out in the world with some expertise where you can say, hey, this is what I know, this is what I'm good at. You should hire me because I know a lot about this thing here. Okay? So at the same time as you want to have a broad exposure to many things, you also want to know a lot about one specific area. And so as you go through your years and design, sort of put together the choice of courses you take, these are things you want to keep in mind.
Maybe I can share with you guys something about our exchange programs. And every semester, we will send hundreds of our undergraduates to our partner universities overseas, not just in North America, in Europe, in the East Asia, and also like the mainland China, Japan, and South Korea, right? So exchange programs, by its names, you see that we will also accept the students from our partner universities and send our students outside. And because of the reputation of our School of Computing and US in the world, we have become very attractive places for many overseas students. They compete to become our exchange students here, right? At the same time, because of these reasons, we are able to, we will engage our students to the top university in the world. Right, so you guys will have the opportunities, have the exposure to many top universities in the world. And this will become the extremely exciting experience when you're with us for the 4 years.
So if I may just add, besides courses that you'll be doing, there'll be a lot of so-called independent studies, right? That you probably can decide what you want to do. So for example, right from year 1 during your summer, you can register for the Orbiter program. Right, that allows you to basically do anything you want. Right, you decide the topic. Right, we don't decide for you. You come up with your own idea on what kind of project you want to do. You'll be guided, but you are basically independent. You think about what you want to do, then you will be assessed based on exactly what you do. Right, and then there is also a sort of a similar program that is more research focused. That is the Odyssey that we just launched recently. Right, so if you're interested, maybe in future, if you're considering, say, pursuing a PhD or master or whatever, that may be something that you would like to try. We have programs where we actually engage our PhD students to mentor our undergraduate who are interested in to learn something about research, right? Maybe how you view a problem from different perspectives, right? That's how you learn about research. So there are a lot of such kind of independent study, if I may call, that will be helpful to you in terms of your future. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Again, there's a good segue. You mentioned opportunity and flexibility. Can anybody kind of make a bit more specific in terms of how can students that study here kind of organize the program in terms of which major, minors to pick? Can they change at some point? What makes studying at NUS flexible for students in terms of their career ideas and how they kind of plug and play their degree program?
Okay, so some of this depends on which degree program you are in the sense that so there are a few different things to talk about here. So on the one hand, so I'm going to talk about the computer science side of things. I'll let you talk about your side of things. So on the computer science side of things, there are essentially three different degree programs. There's computer science, there's AI, and there's information security. I guess there's also computer engineering. This is sort of a side-related thing here. So computer science and AI are linked together degrees. The point here was that we think, gee, you're showing up on day one. Do you want to specialize in AI or not? How would you know? You've probably never studied AI before, at least not in any great depth. At least that's true for a large number of our students. So we want to set it up so that you have the flexibility over the first couple years to explore, take the core courses, decide what you want to do and how you want to spend your time. And at the end of the second year, you then choose, do you want to focus on sort of more general computer science, or do you want to really specialize in AI? So this is sort of the background for that. For information security is a separate degree program. That one does not have this flexibility in quite the same way. But regardless, in all the programs, the basic structure is going to be the first year and a half or so, you'll be taking courses that are basically fundamentals. As you get into your second and third years, you're going to be honing your skills, figuring out what you want to focus on, what you want to learn more about. And by the time you get into your third and fourth years, you'll be taking more project-oriented classes, more higher-level classes, learning more advanced material, and specializing in something, deciding, hey, this is the direction I want to go. So.
Sure, thanks. So for the two degrees I'll be talking about, maybe let me first talk about the Business AI Systems degree. So for the Business AI Systems degree, the focus of the degree is really to solve business problems using two things. All right. So first of all, AI systems and digital innovations. So that's the focus of the degree. To that extent, as the student in short, the BAIS degree program progress through the years, you will have the chance to focus on either one or two of the three specializations that we put on the table. All right. So first of all, the first specialization will be called AI Governance and Management. So that's something new that we kind of introduced as part of the revamp for the original information systems degree that we have been running for many, many years. All right. So besides that specialization, we also have two other specializations. All right. So first of all, on digital product and platforms management, and third, financial technology. Of course, that's the longer term from fintech. All right. So those are the three specializations you can choose to specialize in as a BAIS student. All right. So many of our graduates in the past, of course, the information systems degree, they have gone on to do or take on many job roles in the industry. All right. So depending on their interests or focus, let's say, for instance, I think many of our IS graduates, and also which I'll talk about the business analytics degree, they will actually end up in the financial sector. All right. So they will join many of the banks. Some of them would join the hedge funds. Many of these students or graduates, they stay on in the financial industry. Some of them would get hired by the usual local banks, DBS, UOB, for instance. All right. Some of the more enterprising, or the luckier ones will get hired by the investment banks. All right. Investment banks like Goldman Sachs. Right. In fact, one of my students who graduated quite some time ago, he was hired by Goldman Sachs, I think, to work in Hong Kong, and eventually he returned to Singapore, and he was in fact running a family office. All right, running a family office, managing the investments of some very rich person in Singapore. All right, so that kind of speaks of the kind of opportunities beyond, of course, the traditional IT sector that many of our graduates will head to. All right, so beyond that, in the financial sector, many of our graduates also, of course, become software engineers. Right, in the healthcare sector, some of them get hired by IHIS. Okay, right now it's known as Synapse. Right, some of them will join NCS, for instance, and some of them will also join the big four companies, the accounting companies. They will become consultants, for instance. Right, so that's the BIS degree in terms of the three specializations. right? And second would be, of course, our business analytics degree program. The business analytics degree program, I think, was started in 2013, so by now it's about 12 years. All right, so as its namesake implies, this particular degree aims to kind of train students to solve business problems using, again, 3 things, right? Using data, models, and tools. All right, so these are the 3 things that this particular degree aims to train students in. And many of our students will become data engineers, data scientists, all right, and they work with in various companies, right? And many of them actually get hired in the local digital platform companies. In Shopee, for instance, they will look at analyzing customer data, transactional data to optimize pricing, right? To optimize marketing promotions, for instance. So those are the kind of job roles that typically our business analytics students will get hired in. Beyond those, some of them actually also get hired by some of the fast-moving consumer companies like in P&G, right? Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble is, of course, famous for doing a lot of consumer research. And to do that, you need a lot of data. You need to know about consumer behavior, all right? So consumer behavior would involve a little bit about understanding the psychological processes of how people make decisions about buying things, all right? How they respond to marketing promotions and so on. All right, so these are some of the concepts and skills that you will learn in the business analytics degree program, right? Which if some of you who are in the business analytics degree program would know that this is a fairly interdisciplinary degree program, right? That touches essentially 3 areas: on the business domain, skills and knowledge, the computing side of things, and also lastly, the data science side of things. All right, so hopefully that gives you an idea on the scope of these 2 particular degrees. Thank you.
I just want to add that ask your senior, right? Feel free to talk to people. I think the undergraduate office also has a number of mentors, right? We have a number of mentors, professors who are mentors. Feel free to approach them if you have any queries, you need to find out more. Yeah, basically talk to people, right? Good to plan early what you want to do. And I think in general, we do allow some flexibility in terms of changing if you need to, right? If there's a need to. We don't want a student to be forced to do CS program and then for the next 4 years or whatever, right? NUS has this flexibility where student can do 2 majors across multiple faculty as well, right? So if you are interested in a minor in some other faculty in business school or whatever, you can also explore that kind of options. So there's a lot of flexibility, but you should plan well, I think. Right? So just talk to your seniors, find out more from them, talk to any of the professors as well.
Maybe I'll just add one thing. I think the flexibility in changing, there's actually much flexibility in changing your choice of the degree. In fact, within the first year, you can switch between any of the 5-6 degrees in School of Computing, all right? As long as you accepted any of our 5 degree programs, all right? When you are matriculated sometime in August, right? My advice sometimes to students is you can go to sit in any of the 2,000, 3,000, or even 4,000 level courses, right? Be it in the CS degree, in the BIS degree, or the business analytics degree. And of course, talk to your seniors, as our dean suggested. All right? Some of you, of course, may have applied to certain degrees without knowing too much about what each of the degree focuses in. All right? So once you are in, feel free to sit in some of the lectures, see whatever kind of topics or lectures interest you, then you can change, all right? And the other thing is, of course, you're always encouraged to take on minors, all right? So many of our CS students actually take on minors in mathematics, all right? Some of our students in the business analytics degree actually also take on minors in statistics or even in quantitative finance, all right? So those are very popular combinations.
Okay, thanks. Kind of to follow up on what Kian Lee mentioned regarding mentorship, maybe it's a question more to student life and maybe also undergraduate office. So what can students expect in terms of support at SOC in academic help, mental health, or mentorship? What are the things that people can go to when there are problems at SOC?
I guess for me to answer that, right?
Please go ahead first, yeah.
Okay, so in terms of academic support, I think you have academic advisors from the various departments. So for that, you can go to the website, and there's always a list of people you can talk to. For mental health as well, this is one thing that is of most concern for us. So we have actually a strong student life team. We have a number of student support managers that you can approach anytime. They are equipped to talk to you and give you advice, but they're not counselors per se. But they are able to talk to you, and you can share with them, and then they will see if there's a need to escalate further. If not, if they can handle it and they can talk to you and solve the problem or situation, then they can do it. They are able to do that, then it's fine. What I wanted to add was that I am very proud of our school because all our lecturers are very approachable, me included. So I have, I don't know about the rest, but I'm very sure I have Telegram, I have WhatsApp, I have WeChat. You name it, I have it. And in order to keep with the times, we also try to follow your memes that you're Gen Z or Gen Z, if you call it. So I've been told that I have Reese, and I'm Slay and all this. So, but having said that, we still need you to respect our space. Because what I've done before is I've given my WeChat or my WhatsApp number to people, and they text me at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, sir, are you awake? Then of course I am. I say I am now. Sir. So just be mindful of the space. We are approachable, but there's I suppose certain limits that you have to follow, right? So yeah. So. Yes, yeah, and also we boast a very nice pit stop. We have a place where you can just go there and chill out. And there's one rule to adopt in pit stop: you cannot study. You don't study in pit stop. You go there. They have games, and we have 2 electronic darts machine, and you can play and just go there and just chill out. And we have a nice mascot as well. If you have come for the open house, have you seen our mascot? I'll give you a prize if you know the name of our mascot. Yeah, maybe you can show the mascot is a cat. Okay, yeah, you gave it away. It's socket, SOC cat, and the tail is actually a USB socket, so it's got double meaning. Yeah, so basically, I can guarantee you, if you come here, you really enjoy your stay in I can guarantee you an enriching stay in the 4 years here.
Yeah, maybe a personal comment from my side when it comes to being approachable. I don't give students my WhatsApp or Telegram. What I typically tell my students, because we have all large classes, right? So this is not school anymore. So I tell my students, if you look for help, if you need help, you get help, right? But I can't ask every week how you're doing. Right, you have to come to me, right? And so far, I never turned anybody away, but I can't check every day or every week because we have too many students, right? So maybe another question, also make most students live and kind of beyond academics and kind of enjoying the 4 years. So how does the school kind of foster community and kind of collaboration and engagement between students? What does SOC has to offer? Not sure if this is for Gary or for the heads.
Sorry, can I have your question again?
Yeah, how does SOC foster our student community and student life and making being an SOC student just beyond studying?
Yeah, so just to elaborate on that, they've already told you about the special interest groups that we have. We boast a long list of interest groups. Just before coming here, I was talking to the NUS Computing AI Society, and they organize no less than 10 events per semester. That's quite a lot. And we have, let me just run through the list of interest groups. We have, of course, first and foremost, the computing club. And this is a club that all of you, when you come in, are automatically members of the club. But you can join the committee as part of the management committee. And they go on to organize a lot of activities. And you have the NUS Grey Hats, and they're all famous locally. I'm sure some of you may have taken part in the hackathons that they have organized. NUS Grey Hats, NUS Hackers, Start IT, and we have the Games Development Group, and as well as there's a new one that has come out, Women in Tech. So I'm happy to see that there's actually a good showing of female here. So for the female who are coming in, not to worry, there's actually a very strong support. The Women in Tech, and they've just got a sponsorship. They have just collaborated with the ACM Women's Chapter. So and there's a lot of support for this group. So when you do come in, and this Women in Tech actually works with all the other student interest groups as well. So there's a very strong community feeling and a strong, we call ourselves SOC family. So for student life, you want to email us, you email socfamily@computing, at .com.nus.edu.sg. So that's how we actually go by addressing ourselves. That's how you can easily reach us, right? So and a lot of these interest groups organize a lot of hackathons, and a lot of companies want to collaborate with us to organize hackathons. So that in a way, I think that's how strong and popular we are.
Does anybody want to say it? Yes, Kian Lee want to say it?
And also to add, we also have a CCSGP, that's computing for good and philanthropy. And we work with community. We have something called Code for Community, where if you are interested in doing community engagement, we actually teach coding, Python, HTML, this to underserved children. And we work with Autistic Resource Center as well. So we do our fair share to give back to community.
So one other thing that we have done is that we engage seniors to teach you. Right? I think that is very important, because that's how you are going to know your senior as well. Right? Many of our classes are actually taught by senior, which means that when you're in year 2 or year 3, you will get to earn some money. Right? We pay them, honestly. It's a lot of, we spend a lot. I think, as I always tell people, some of you, I may have spoken to some of you, we are probably the only department or only school where the student ratio could be so-called tutor student ratio could be as low as 1:8 or 1:12. All right, so the senior will teach the junior, and therefore they actually build very good rapport. Whenever you go to the exam hall, you'll see that, because I think it's easier for students to ask their senior questions than to ask the professors. Like sometimes they feel more comfortable talking to their seniors, and these are students who have done well in the course, so we engage them again to come forward to sort of, in some sense, you can think of it as for them to contribute back to the school so that they have that sense of ownership. Right? Our school is a very big faculty. Right? We have almost like 1,500 students every year that we take in. Right? So it's very huge. And at the end of it, we want you to have the sense of ownership. Otherwise, if you come only for your tutorial, come only for your classes, you may not get to know one another. You may not feel the sense of belonging to the school. But through all these so-called having the senior to teach the younger ones, there's the sense of, I contribute to the school, right? Even though we pay them, but I think they have that sense that they are a member of the school, they are part of the family. They are giving back to their fellow students, because I think they spend a lot more time helping the junior. That part of time that they spend is not paid, right? So they actually would like to contribute back, and I hope you all will do the same if you should join us. Yep.
May I also share some points about how we support our students? I think in our school, students have many opportunities to take part in the school administration and education. And let me give you an example. So for example, in our student exchange programs, right? So we engaged a senior student to work with us to develop like an AI-based course mapping advisor, right? And this is just one of the seniors. From among our students. So during these processes, actually the students got support not just from our UG officers, but also from our IT staffs. All we help together to make the advisors nurtured and fully developed. And this is just one example. Another example is I would like to say that being part of our students community here, that you are able to team with the best students in Singapore. Yeah, so we have many course projects, and I observed that our students, they will form partnerships through many courses, and they even become the lifelong friendships with each other. So I think it's not just about the curriculums, about the programs, but also about the friendships and the communities, your teammates, your classmates. All this will become the valuable parts of your student life here.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, before we switch to your question, let me quickly kind of touch upon the topic of your career path but also internships. So maybe this is more for Tekim. So how does SOC support students finding internships and potentially also then jobs in the long run?
Okay, this is an important message I want to let you all know. You know, if you come into the CS side, CS requires you to have a minimum of 3 months internship, right? And then the DISA department students are required to do a minimum of 6 months internship. Now, just in case any one of you is worried that you cannot get internship and so you cannot graduate, that sort of thing, it won't happen, It won't happen, right? The school will always help you. Of course, you have to do your job. You have to show us that you actually applied diligently. You cannot get it because sometimes it's because of industry downturn and things like that. It's no fault of yours, right? So you just show us that you applied diligently. The school will always help you. You will not be in the situation whereby you cannot graduate just because you cannot find internship. So don't worry about that. All right, so I think that's the most important thing that I want you all to the take-home message for as far as internship is concerned. Now, as far as internship opportunities are concerned, we have students doing local internship and overseas internship. In fact, we encourage students to go overseas also. It doesn't need to be first world countries kind of internship. Even in third world countries, you get to learn a lot also. You learn different culture, how people work in different countries and things like that. So we do encourage that. So you can go to, overseas for internship also, right? And every year we open up internship our portal for companies to post their internship positions, right? And some students do self-source also. We allow self-source also as long as you show us the company, the work scope and things like that. We usually can approve, right? So internship is, as I said, internship is part and parcel of the training here. It allows you to learn immersively in a work environment, right? But it's just one part of the important student life here. Study, internship, and don't forget what we mentioned just now. Student life also mentioned. Don't forget to take part in the other CCAs in NUS. They are excellent places to hone your leadership skills. So don't neglect that, right? Yeah, we have career fair. We run 2 career fairs a year. Usually in the beginning of the semester when people are not busy yet, right? So we have a career fair actually in this location, and companies actually set up their booths here, and a lot of students come here. The graduating students will come here for full-time jobs. The non-graduating students, they also visit the career fairs because they can talk to the company, and sometimes the company will offer you internship positions as well, right? So don't forget to join a career fair when the career fair happens. We will announce to students.
But overall, our students are in pretty high demand, aren't they? Both for internships and for jobs.
Yes. As I told you just now, this morning, you know, we had a video conference with the MNC from a US company, a big one. If I mention the name, I think all of you must have heard about that name, right? Because they want to contact us, they want our students because they have heard good things about our students, right?
Okay, anybody wants to add? Anybody from the other panelists wants to add to this question? Because then I want to probably ask my last question before we open up, which goes in a similar direction. Basically, where do our graduates go? right? Because sometimes when it comes to computer science, they only see Google, they only see Facebook and these kind of things, right? But arguably we are everywhere. So maybe, again, question for everybody, where do our graduates go? What are kind of the industries?
Thank you for the question. It's a very important question. You know, in the past, computing students typically will go from Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Meta, right? Meta, Amazon, these places. But in recent years, because of the development in AI and things like that, even non-traditional places like semiconductor companies, they come to SOC. They say usually, in the past they only take in physics students, engineering students, but now they come to SOC because they say even for hardware development, for manufacturing, for semiconductor manufacturing, we need AI. Right, so they come to so when you look for a job, don't just limit yourself to the traditional computing companies. Look widely because the landscape has changed. There are a lot of opportunities everywhere, right? And computing is actually in great demand, actually.
Hey, Seth, can Lee want to add to this question?
Yeah, no, I don't have a lot to add beyond that. Like I said, what I've seen is exactly what Takim was just saying, that our students seem to be in incredibly high demand these days. I'll repeat what he just said, that computing is now infusing everything. So we have students who end up doing hardcore tech stuff, and we have students who end up doing everything else. There's sort of a lot of possibilities with a computing degree, a lot of possibilities. I talked at the beginning about thinking like a computer scientist. It turns out that's a skill that's helpful across a wide variety of domains. And so our students end up in all sorts of places.
Okay, so if no other wants to contribute to this, I think we should switch to the open session where we kind of ask your question you posted. So you had the chance to use the QR code. I will read the question anyway, no worries. So I'm not sure if it's sorted or not, otherwise I'll just start from the beginning. So the first question is, we kind of talked about it, but still, how has NUS adapted its curriculum to help students to stay up to date with the rapid advancements, particularly in AI and emerging technologies?
Yeah, no, I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, that AI infuses everything these days. You just can't ignore it as a computer scientist. And it certainly, therefore, shows up in lots of our classes. And we are continually evolving our curriculum to keep things up to date, absolutely. And I think when I'm teaching a class, at least, I think part of what makes things fun is you both want to cover some of the interesting things from 30 years ago, and you want to show how they've evolved to what's actually happening out there in the world today. I think that's part of what's neat about computer science, is you can see that type of evolution. So yes, we keep things up to date.
Yeah, maybe just to add, because I teach, for example, natural language processing, which includes teaching things like large language models and GPT. So we have to update our curriculum every semester. Right? We can't help it, right? And sometimes it's sad because it's not adding new stuff. That's the easy part. But deciding what to kick out, right? We like the topic where we said, the time is gone, right? It's an interesting topic, but nobody's using it anymore. So there are some courses where we have to change the syllabus basically every semester, right, to stay up to date.
And the hard part, which you run into in this class, is figuring out not just sort of what's new, but what's going to last more than a year. What am I going to teach you? We don't want to just teach things that a year from now are going to be useless. We want to teach you something that 3 or 4 years is going to still be important. So what's just the current, flash in the pan? This is the way things work today, but tomorrow they're going to be different. Versus, what are the core new things that are going to matter 5 years from now?
Yeah. And maybe even worse, I would say, from my side, that some of the AI stuff is. Like ChatGPT or large language models, I typically tell my students, okay, we go through how it works, but don't really ask me why it works, right? We reached a stage where nobody really knows why it works, right? And we have to be honest about it and kind of how we teach it.
And it'll work differently next year, right?
Hope so. Okay, very good question. I think we touched upon it, but maybe we can clarify. What opportunities do I have in research as a freshman?
Yeah, so the dean already talked some about this right now, but personally, I think it's great for undergrads to get involved in research. I think it's one of the real benefits of being at a university like this, a university where we have all of these sort of world-class researchers on the faculty doing really cutting-edge things, doing sort of the hot new thing that no one else in the world is doing. And so getting a chance to work with those people, meet them, get to know them, see what they're doing, see how that process goes, I think is really one of the major benefits of being at a place like NUS. So I strongly encourage you to at least think about getting involved in undergraduate research. We have a variety of ways you can do that. The dean was talking about how after the first year, there's this program called Odyssey where you work with PhD students and researchers on a small research problem. You can continue on with that as a second-year student in terms of an undergraduate research project, and then you can complete at the end of your time here doing a final year project, really diving deeply into that research. So there's sort of a track through your 4 years here where you can choose how deeply you want to get involved in research, starting with this first-year Odyssey program, and then diving deeper as you choose.
So just to add this, I would really recommend if already somebody have an idea, yeah, maybe I want to take a PhD, right? So this is really a kind of a harmless way to test the waters, right? Because research really means you don't just get a ready menu, right? You get maybe a little bit of recipe, but you do the cooking, right? So, and this, you have to see if this is for you, right? And this is kind of chances to really get started. So every year I, for example, have FYP students, and I would recommend this to everybody who wants to aim potentially to do masters or PhD, for example. Anybody else wants to add to this question? Yeah, the next question, again, open for everybody. How does NUS support innovation within the school? If we have a startup, what kind of support and flexibility can we expect? Right, I know we have incubator, but who is the expert in startups and incubation and NUS enterprise?
Let me try to say a few words in response to this question. Just now, Prof. Seth had also mentioned that, and also Prof. Kim Yong mentioned about the philosophy of the teaching here, right? And in summary, the school aim to teach you things that has got longer shelf life, right? So the things you learn here, we are not going to teach you things that will go obsolete very fast, right? We may try to enhance your skill set by teaching you those things that may go off fast, that means the tools, by something that's outside the curriculum, right? Some workshop or something like that. The school may plan those kind of activities for you. But by and large, the kind of things that we learn here, we stress on fundamentals, the foundations, right? And those kind of things that will allow you to adapt very fast when you go out to work, right? With a good foundation, you can learn new skills very easily, right? So that's our philosophy of training the students here. So volatile and uncertain tech landscape, sometimes it may sound scary, but actually if you pay attention to it, it creates opportunities, right? You may be hearing some stories about AI and things like that, and there are a lot of things on social media, and a lot of things sometimes I think people exaggerate a little bit. So you have to be careful when you read those things, right? Now, we do foresee changes, right? We do foresee changes, and then we do feel that with computing background, with the foundation in computing training, you will be better off than people without computing background to catch the opportunities, to benefit from the changing landscape, right? So I think the advice I will give you is try to be diligent in learning, in studying, in school, learn the skill sets and build up a strong foundation, right? And then the opportunities will be yours to explore, right? I don't know whether.
Yeah. So we have a startup called the Furnace, a startup enterprise, NUS incubator, computing incubator called Furnace. And if you have a startup, you can discuss with the committee, and upfront they can give you a cash grant If I'm not wrong, it's $10,000. And actually, Student Life is also in charge of alumni and fundraising. So we are currently talking to a donor who is actually almost ready to sign an agreement that will give us a sizable amount of money. So this will help startup companies incubating in our incubator as well. So we are looking into getting more funding. So yeah, it's a very fresh and green route ahead for startups who are looking to start companies in SOC. And we actually do welcome, I think I'm not so familiar with the numbers, but it's a lot. If you can, you have?
Maybe I can say a few words on that competition that you're talking about. Every semester we have a call for project ideas, right? And you need to form a team. Usually if you need to form a team, very seldom we see a one-person team. Right, so as long as the team comprises at least one student from SOC, you're okay. So you can actually form a multidisciplinary team with our students, with our friends from other faculties, and you come up with an idea, right? And if the idea, so you go for pitching, right? So the committee will decide, and if you can convince the committee that your idea works, is commercially viable, you will be given $10,000 for 1 year to develop, right, for the team, right? You can use it for legitimate expenses to develop your project. And after the 1 year, if it shows promises, the school also has the furnace to actually help you accelerate your idea, to incubate your idea. Right, so students are allowed to register for your companies and develop from there. And we do have some good examples of very successful startups, right? Sorry?
Space for startups and
office space
for furnace. Yeah. The school supports that. I don't even know. I think even if they pay, it's also very minimal. Yeah.
You don't have to pay for the office space. They give you office space and some equipment as well. They only ask that when you become rich, then you remember us.
Yeah. No. No, say that. Yeah. No. There's a bunch of entrepreneurial activity happening. Go look up the furnace and see the neat projects happening there. There's undergrads are starting companies, PhD students are starting companies. One of my students, when they graduated, started a company, and faculty members start companies. We had one faculty member at one point who had 3 or 4 startups going, I think, and one of our faculty members right now just sold his startup, and so there's lots of stuff happening, which is, I think, pretty exciting.
Yeah, so offhand, I can give you a few kind of well-known, famous examples of the startup founders who have kind of originated their idea from the school and have done well. All right, I think first of all, Carousel. I'm sure many of you are using Carousel. The co-founder, Lucas Ngui was our, Lucas Ngui. Ngoo, I don't know how to pronounce that. Okay, so he's one of the more successful, famous co-founders. Right, we also have Guan Dian, who was the co-founder of PetSnap. All right, that's actually a unicorn. All right, so she was our information systems graduate, I think probably more than 10 years back, right? Thank you. What's the name? I can't remember the name. We also have, who else? Okay, the co-founder of Circles Life. I think some of you are using, right, the MVNO. So the co-founder was also our information systems graduate, I think more than 10 years ago. Yeah. So I think suffice to say we have plenty of very successful cases, right? Our students starting their startup ideas from the school, incubating all the way to become a unicorn. All right, so those are great examples. All right, so back at the school level, at the department level, all right, going back to the education side, I can also share with you that in our department, we actually have many courses that kind of teach you some of the principles of business planning, startup. We also have, let's say, for instance, a course called Journey of the Innovator. All right, so that's actually taught by Prof. Francis Yeo, who was at one point the chairman of NSTB. All right, that was NRF. That was the predecessor of A-Star. All right, so we have many other courses on digital innovations, all right, teaching you business planning and so on. So it all starts from the classroom, of course, and then you can go on to kind of put your ideas into fruition, into practice by joining some of the activities in the Furnace Incubator, all right, and even going outside, okay, to seek venture capital funding, okay, all the way to Series A, Series B, and so on. All right, one key purpose of the Furnace activities is really to link you folks up with some of the VCs out there. All right.
Okay, thank you. Let's have the next question. What resources are currently underutilized by students but are highly valuable? In terms of membership, grants, anything where we say that students don't make use of it, but we have it. Maybe to some extent our GPU cluster is sometimes really underutilized. We have a lot of computing power that students don't use, but we offer it.
Yeah, and as I said, we were talking earlier about research. I encourage more students to more undergrads to get involved in research. That's another area of opportunity that's available.
Okay, then yeah, let's jump to the next question. Okay, how important is school prestige for computer science students when getting a job in comparison with other universities, both local and overseas, with the same achievement and skills? That's a difficult question to be unbiased here, but I will still ask.
Which direction are we biased towards, though? Are we supposed to say that prestige is important, so choose us? Or are we supposed to say that prestige isn't important, it's your skills that matter, so choose us?
That's the open question. But does anybody wants to kind of give it a shot on this question?
Yeah, I mean, Tae Kim was really talking about how a large part of what matters on the job market when you're done is your skills, right? Is the skills you've developed and what you can do for your employer, the ideas that you have, what you bring to the company, what you bring to the startup, what you bring to whatever you're trying to do next. And which is why all the time we encourage students to focus on what they're learning and the skills they're developing more than worrying about one grade here or there, plus or minus 2 points on your final exam. 5 years from now, that's not going to matter. What's going to matter is what are the skills that you learned along the way.
We are taking the largest number of students in Singapore, and that's not without a reason, right? Because we produce the brightest graduates, because the industry wants students from NUS.
Yeah, just to share with you, recently we received a team from the government, and then they did comment that when they talk to the industry outside, and when people think of computing skills, they say NUS is the one. And there was another MNC, not this morning's MNC, American MNC, who came face-to-face visit us. They came with EDB, and then EDB also told us that when they think of computing, they think of SOC in NUS, right? So we do have the reputation, but the reputation can only be as good as you. So actually, we are very committed in training our undergraduate students, because if our students are no good, right, regardless of whatever other people say, when our students are no good, we go outside, people will spread the word, and then our reputation will go down, right? So we care a lot about our teaching. I think, and we are very proud to say that our school has got a lot of very excellent teachers, right? So education is important, and then it is because we put in a lot of effort in education, our students are well-trained, and when they're well-trained, the name spreads, the reputation is good. If you go to the Bay Area now in the US, you actually see a lot of SOC undergrads, SOC graduates there. I have got a few FYP students working there also, right? So again, our reputation is only as good as you, right? Okay.
So do a good job. Our reputation depends on you.
Okay, next question. Is it very difficult to compete for opportunities, for example, overseas exchange in certain countries, given how there are so many competent students in SOC but limited opportunities? So it kind of aims towards a saturation question that we often get.
Let me answer these questions. As I just now mentioned, because NUS is the top-ranked universities in the world, right? So we are able to attract many top-level partner universities. This is very important because not just the quantity of the exchange students, but also the qualities of the partner universities, right? So every semester, we will send hundreds of our undergraduates for the exchange programs. It is around 50% of the chance the applicants will get the ideal university they want. Sometimes they will wait for another opportunities because they prefer some universities than the others. So I would like to say that the chance is, there's a lot of chance, and it is competent, but competent for the hottest universities, right? But in terms of we have hundreds of partner universities in the world, so the opportunities is a lot.
Okay, thanks. Anyone to it? Yeah.
Well, I just want to add that, I mean, from my impression is that while there are lots of opportunities and lots of students apply for lots of these opportunities, which means that any given opportunity becomes competitive, my impression is that most of our students end up getting at least one of the things they want to end up doing. So that, you know, the world's gotten competitive. Everyone applies to everything now. You don't just apply to the thing you want, you apply to the thing you want and 99 other things. And so that makes things feel a lot more competitive. But in the end, there's sort of enough spaces for everyone. Almost everyone ends up doing something they like.
Yeah, that's true. And another thing I want to add is that we are also very selective to our partner universities. Indeed, we have there's many universities they want to approach our school for the exchange programs. So we will find the best university and the most good, the best opportunities for our students. And regarding how competitive it is, the selection of the programs, I would like to say that, of course, we are based, GPA would be the first the factors to consider. But when we consider all the applications, we'll make sure each case is justifiable. I try to make it as objective as possible. So every student, not for GPA, but also your CCA, also matters. For become competent for the exchange program.
Thank you. So here we have a question directly to Professor Go. You mentioned that many students who end up going to finance. What's the difference between being an accountant / study finance instead of biz AI systems? FinTech only 4 mods.
All right, let me take a step on that question. Not sure whether I understand that. All right, so I guess for if you're interested in studying accountancy and finance, to some extent it's quite a different ballgame compared to business AI systems. Right, so if you're studying accountancy or finance, end of the day, that's mainly dealing with, I think, numbers, to some extent, mathematical models, right, in terms of, let's say, financial engineering theories or models. For the business AI systems degree, we will educate you to some extent on some of the basic financial knowledge and concepts, right, investment principles and so on. I think more importantly, the business AI systems, all right, as I mentioned, we do offer fintech specialization. All right, so the focus here to some extent is, of course, going beyond finance or accountancy to kind of bring in where the tech angles would be of focus in terms of solving different types of business problems in the financial sectors, in the accountancy sector, for instance. All right, so if you look at accountancy, for instance, I think these days to kind of uncover whatever financial or accounting fraud, I think you need tech tools, right? Tech tools in the sense of using data analytics tools, right? And in the department, we actually offer a course on fraud analytics. All right, so fraud analytics these days, okay, I'm sure you have heard of so many scam calls. You yourself may have encountered some of the parents, some of the older generation folks. All right, so that's on the consumer side of things. What about at the firm side of things? The firm side of things, of course, they do have to take this very seriously. All right, a couple of years back, there was many scam calls that were targeting OCBC customers. All right, and millions of dollars were lost. All right, so one of our school's advisory committee member, Mr. Vincent Loy, he's the, I think, assistant CE in MAS. So he was telling me, in fact, he's teaching a course in our school. So he was the one who was kind of liaising with many of these banks. So as a result of that incident or episode, I think he was the one who kind of revamped some of the industry practices in terms of trying to contain some of this fraud that could happen at the finance, the scam calls side of things. So some of the whatever things that industry side is doing, I think we do try to teach, right, in some of the courses here. So that would definitely go beyond what you will learn in terms of accountancy or finance over at the business school. So end of the day, I think in the business school, they still focus mainly on the management side of things, on the day-to-day accountancy rules like some of the gap practices in accountancy, right? In the finance side, finance, if you know finance as a discipline itself that involves many different theories and models. So definitely you will learn this in the business school and as well as the School of Computing. So in the School of Computing side, we take things to a higher level, right? To a higher level, to give you some examples, right? So these days, there's a lot of applications of machine learning, large language models to look at financial problems, right? So to give you some examples in terms of the kind of research our professors are doing, right? So we are, some of my colleagues in the department, they are, and perhaps some in the CS department as well, they use large language models, right, to uncover and to quantify, to measure what are the kinds of things that CEOs are saying in the quarterly earnings kind of press conferences, right? They use that to quantify, let's say, what are some of the risk factors that could impact your quarterly earnings in the next quarter, right? And then we apply some kind of econometric models to look at the sentiment in whatever the CEO has been expressing in some of these press conferences. So we use machine learning methods, deep learning methods, large language models, right, to look at some of the causal impact of whatever the CEO or the companies are doing that could have an impact on their revenue or profits in subsequent quarters. So these are some of the cutting edge things in the finance side, in the fintech side that we are teaching and we are doing in terms of research, right? So that goes beyond the traditional kind of statistical models that some of the finance side, the financial sectors have been using. Right, so that's just one quick example. Although there's only 4, I'm not sure why there's only 4 fintech modules. Right, so the fintech name may not appear directly in some of the course names. Right, so that's the simple reason. And many of these fintech modules, fintech itself may encompass many different aspects. Right, one aspect is of course on the traditional finance side. Some of the more cutting-edge stuff would involve blockchain technologies, for instance. We also have a couple of blockchain-related courses, distributed ledgers types of courses. Okay, mainly, of course, not so technically oriented courses, but focusing more on the management side of things. All right, so hopefully I've given you some idea of any other things?
Directly, so from what I get is business AI systems in the finance real is fraud analytics, but fraud analytics.
No, that's just one example. All right, so you shouldn't kind of just say that there's only one focus. We go much more beyond that. All right, so I will encourage you to take a look at the courses on our school's webpage. All right, so we look at even teaching how to use, let's say, for instance, machine learning techniques for investment, In some of the risk analytics, we also have courses on risk analytics. Right? Risk analytics is one big factor that would kind of empower or decide what scope or how, to the extent of investment you should kind of invest in, let's say, security-related kind of procedures or systems in the financial sector.
Okay, cool. Then let's change things up. Yeah, will a double degree be more beneficial or a double major will do? If so, will it be worth the extra work? And how so will it be worth it? So yeah, double degree.
All right, okay. The simple answer is based on the statistics from the Graduate Employment Survey. A double degree is definitely more worth it than the single degree. So we do see that students graduating with a double degree get slightly higher salaries, right? But as to whether it's worth your extra, I don't know, 1 to 1.5 years, that's of course up to the individual to decide, right? And likewise, if you talk about salary premiums, there's also a slight salary premium if you go to NOC. All right, if you join the NOC, some companies are willing to pay for a slight premium. Perhaps it's the experience you get out of being in one of the NOC colleges.
And I'll give the opposite answer, the non-data-driven answer here. So in that, I think what really matters is the skills that you develop, right? So whether you do a double degree or whether you do second majors or minors, all of these are ways to sort of document skills that you've learned in different areas. And what's important is are you learning the skills that you're interested in and want to develop your future career? And so to the extent that a double degree program captures the skills you want, well, that's wonderful. It's great. You learn a lot of stuff. It's very productive. To the extent it doesn't, there are other ways to package together the skills that you want to learn in order to do what you want to do. And so I think about it less as a question of how much work do you want to put in, and more as a question of, given the amount of work you're going to put in, how do you want to allocate that time? Do you want to allocate it to a double degree program with this set of skills, which could be wonderful, or would you like to allocate it to a different set of things?
Okay, then next question. How have students from NUS College generally performed in SOC classes? Any issues brought up, commitments, workload balancing, etc.?
I haven't seen any issues. Seems like it's working well to me, from both sides.
Yeah, so typically if you don't get complaints, we typically think run.
NUS College students do great. All of our other students do great. We have great students all around. So, yeah.
Okay, next question. Given the popularity of computer science globally, what makes an SOC graduate stand out, particularly when applying to remote overseas roles compared to foreign applicants who may demand lower salaries? Challenging question.
Yeah, and I think it's one that we've been talking about all evening in some sense, in that all afternoon, in that our students graduate with very strong technical skills, with very strong problem-solving skills, with very strong communication skills, and they do well. And employers know that. The reason that our students are so popular on the employment market is because they get hired and then they do amazingly well, and that makes all of us look good. So I think it's a simple answer, but I think it's true.
I think you have to do your part as well. Yeah. So we provide all kinds of support that you need, right? We can give you. I mean, for example, if a student wants to do research and then they have a conference paper, we provide support for you to travel to the conference to do your presentation, right? So we provide a lot of support for you in educating you, in giving you a good learning experience. But at the end of the day, I think you have to put in your effort in your, I don't know, whatever, your interview, your performance, because you are in some sense, you are against many other candidates who are equally good, if not better, right? So you have to be proactive. You have to put in your energy, whatever, show that you are actually. You have to be very enthusiastic anyway. Yeah.
I just want to add a few points about compared to foreign applicants who may demand lower salaries. So now look, you are the hope of the country. You are the cream of the crop. And when you come in here, we expect to train you to be the top, right? You should aim for that also, okay? So you should not be competing with others based on salary. You see what I'm saying? You should not be getting the job because you're cheaper. You should be getting the top job because you're good, right? And when you look at the top jobs, those companies that can afford top jobs, they are not going to stinge on the salary. They just want the best people, all right? So you should aim for those kind of jobs, right? So don't worry about foreign engineers who are cheaper, that sort of things. You shouldn't worry too much about that.
Imagine Google saying imagine Google saying, yeah, gee, this CEO is great, but like, yeah, he's too expensive. We don't have to get that cheap CEO over there because it's not worth the extra money. It doesn't happen.
Okay, I see some questions about scholarships. Yeah, what are the scholarships available for us to get? How many scholarships opportunities are given since our cohort size is much bigger than other faculties?
I don't think we know exactly how many scholarships that students in our school are given, okay, simply because I think all the scholarships numbers are actually controlled by the Office of Admissions. All right, so they at the higher level, basically the numbers are decided at the higher level. Why is that so? It's just to make sure that the number of scholarship is given out in an equitable and fair distribution, right, in a fair manner to all other schools, faculties in NUS. All right. So beyond those that are given by the university, there are definitely some that are given at the school level. Right. So those comes from the gifts and donation. Right. That's given directly to our school.
Okay. Anybody wants to add? Not maybe one more questions before we end the official section.
Last question, make it a good one.
Hey, the last one.
Well, we've already answered everything. That's great.
No, we have many questions. Just it was scrolling involved. So this one. Okay, a question for Professor Tan. With the rapid acceleration of AI, what opportunity costs or risk do you foresee, especially like hardware lagging behind software advancement and sustainability concerns in data centers? Oh, it's a very technical question.
I was going to say, I'm not Professor Tan, but I can try to answer. Good. So in general, the hard question here is how do you predict the future, right? If we had a crystal ball where I could look into the future and tell you exactly how things are going to be in 5 years, lots of questions would be easier to answer. So you're right. We don't know what's going to happen in 5 years. Sure seems likely to me that computing is going to be pretty important for the next 5 to 10 to 20 years. Sure seems likely AI is going to be important for the next 5 to 10 to 20 years. And beyond that, all we can do is try to look ahead, look at the trends that we're seeing, look at some of the trends that are mentioned in this question about growth in hardware, growth in energy costs, growth in temperature production, et cetera. Look at these sorts of trends and try to use those to gauge the direction things are going. From an undergraduate education perspective, this comes back to why I want to focus on our courses covering the types of things that are going to matter past today. They're going to matter not just how do you use ChatGPT today, but how do you use AI into the long-distance future, even as it evolves and changes. This is why, from an educational perspective, we want to teach fundamentals, not the hot thing of the day. Okay. From a research perspective, and now I'm talking to undergrads, not PhD students. If I were talking to PhD students, I would give a slightly different answer because I would talk more about how you want to look for these trends and identify these as areas of research, areas that we should be spending more time studying. Given these trends, what do we think are going to be the big problems in 5 to 10 years, and how can we as academics address them from a research perspective? How can we prepare for the changes that are coming? From a research perspective, this is quite important. From an undergraduate perspective, the important thing is that we are teaching and preparing our students for the future. Luckily, we do both here, so you get the benefit of both.
Okay, I think this was, anybody want to comment on this?
Yeah, so maybe I just add something since it's addressed to me. Yeah, I just want to say that every risk or whatever is an opportunity for us, right? And that's why there are a lot of research now looking at how to do so-called energy efficient hardware, energy efficient technologies, right? That people are developing. That's why when DeepSeek was released, right? It's sort of shaken the whole world in some sense because they are more energy efficient, right? People talk about that's how you can cut down the energy consumption. So I think we shouldn't just look at the risk, but we also view it as an opportunity especially for researchers to develop better technologies for the future.
Okay, thanks for the panelists. We reached actually always over time. So yeah, no, we have more questions than those. We can't capture everything. But on a on a positive side, we still have a networking session with some tea around, so you can still ask a question, right? Our panelists will still be around. That being said, thanks for the YouTube audience for joining in. Obviously, you can't join our tea session. But I hope this was useful, and I hope most of the question that kind of was relevant to you got answered. But yeah, thanks for coming. But again, for you, here in the lecture theater, we still have a networking session. And if you have still a question that wasn't answered here, panelists are still here. Okay? Otherwise, from my side, yeah, thanks for coming. Hope it was useful.
Yeah, if I may just add, in case you still have other questions, right, just feel free to email us. Yeah, we'll try to address them. Yeah, if